Imagine waking up to news that alters the entire landscape of global trade, sending massive shockwaves through the currency markets, only to have the script flipped entirely just a few hours later. That is exactly the unprecedented financial roller coaster we just witnessed. In a landmark decision, the United States Supreme Court struck down the sweeping universal tariffs imposed by President Trump. For a brief moment, the markets priced in a new era of free trade. The US dollar trembled, the euro and the British pound soared, and global importers breathed a massive sigh of relief. But in the world of politics and economics, the ink is never truly dry. Before the markets could even close, President Trump fired back, utilizing a completely different, obscure legal loophole to slap a new 10% tariff back on the table. How did we get here? What does this legal game of cat and mouse mean for the U.S. economy? And most importantly, how will this extreme volatility impact the U.S. dollar, the euro, and the pound sterling? Grab your notepads because today we are breaking down the ultimate tariff tug-of-war. Welcome back to Market Lens, the channel where we bring the complex world of finance, economics, and global markets into perfect focus. If you want to stay ahead of market trends and understand the why behind the charts, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you find today's deep dive valuable, please smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Now let's dive right into the chaos. To understand the current market frenzy, we have to start with the Supreme Court's ruling. The highest court in the land dropped a constitutional hammer on the administration's tariff strategy. But why? It wasn't a ruling on whether tariffs are good or bad for the economy. It was strictly about the separation of powers. President Trump had originally relied on a 1977 law known as the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. The Supreme Court, in a decisive ruling, clarified that while IEEPA grants the president broad powers during national emergencies, it does not grant the executive branch the authority to levy taxes or impose sweeping customs duties. Under the U.S. Constitution, the power of the purse and the power to tax belongs exclusively to Congress. When this ruling crossed the newswires, the immediate economic implications were staggering. Suddenly, the massive wall of tariffs was gone. For the U.S. economy, this presented a dual-edged sword. On one hand, it meant an immediate cooling of inflationary pressures. Tariffs are essentially a tax paid by the domestic importer and the consumer. Removing them lowers production costs for companies and reduces price tags on retail shelves. Furthermore, it promised a massive boost for U.S. agriculture and exports, as retaliatory tariffs from Europe, China, and the Americas were expected to vanish. But in the world of politics and economics, the ink is never truly dry. Before the markets could even close, President Trump fired back, utilizing a completely different, obscure legal loophole to slap a new 10% tariff back on the table. How did we get here? What does this legal game of cat and mouse mean for the U.S. economy? And most importantly, how will this extreme volatility impact the U.S. dollar, the euro, and the pound sterling? Grab your notepads because today we are breaking down the ultimate tariff tug-of-war. So, what does this mean for the markets right now? We are officially in the era of the tariff whipsaw. When Trump announced the new 10% measure, the markets reversed violently. The euro and pound, which had been celebrating just hours prior, took a hit, and the dollar clawed back some of its losses. However, we are left in a state of profound uncertainty. We are now on a 150-day countdown clock. During these next 5 months, we will likely see the administration scrambling to launch new trade investigations under other laws like Section 301 to try to make these tariffs permanent before the clock runs out. For traders watching the dollar, the euro, and the pound, the baseline is no longer economic data alone. It is legal and political maneuvering. The dollar will remain highly volatile, reacting to every headline, court filing, and congressional debate. The euro and the pound will remain sensitive to global trade sentiment. The cat-and-mouse game has shifted from a trade war between nations to a legal war within Washington itself. The landscape of global trade is shifting beneath our feet daily. Whether you're trading Forex, investing in equities, or just trying to understand the macroeconomic picture, keeping your eyes completely open is more critical now than ever before. We will continue to track this 150-day countdown closely right here on the channel. What are your thoughts on this unprecedented legal maneuvering? Do you think the US dollar will ultimately strengthen, or will the euro and pound dominate the rest of the year? Let me know your predictions down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please subscribe to Market Lens, hit the like button, and share this video with your fellow investors. Until next time, keep your focus sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.